Yeah, that we had, long time ago, yeah. Yeah, he liked Roma quite a bit, yeah.
16 years, my college. Just lived with me.
If you have a cell phone or a pager, please turn it off or set it to stun so that it doesn't ring during the service. Please. Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. Let us begin with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitein lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha, ayad yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakaka v'yarech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzneitcha avoecha, me'ata va'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See the protector of Israel, neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, he is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm, he will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken our beloved Yuri Weinstein. His Hebrew name Amnon ben Yaakov. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Yuri's love that united many people in life, and which death cannot sever. For his companionship that was shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind, which brought joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time, it is a time of grief, and so we listen once again to the voice of our sacred scriptures. It tells us of the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. And together let us recite in the English the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We gather this afternoon on Father's Day to bid a reverent farewell to a loving grandfather and father, a husband, a son, a brother, an uncle, and friend, Yuri. Yuri was a character. He was a regular at Shabbat services for many years. He came to our adult education classes, and he would come over and over because he figured he would learn something new each time he came. And he did. Each Friday, he sat next to, in our foyer, this huge, large, stuffed yid, the mensch on the bench. And he would sit, and there was a spot on the bench. He would sit and he would talk to the mensch on the bench. We would read stories to the mensch on the bench. And he would say, I'm talking with him, wishing him a good Shabbos. He had a quick wit, even if you couldn't understand what he said always. He was offbeat. He had a dark sense of humor. There were many times when his dark sense of humor. And he was ready with a laugh. He was an ardent Zionist and supporter of Israel. For the foreseeable future, our Shabbat services and the Oneg after services at Temple will be filled with a little bit less humor and less laughter. He talked with Rabbi Fred about their common interest in extraterrestrials. Every week, Yuri would tell me something. Did you hear something on the news about this or that or the other thing? My father and he would share books and talk about that. There's a favorite Talmudic teaching, one of my favorites. It comes from Ta'anit, page 22, side A, 22A. It's a teaching from long ago about a saintly rabbi who constantly pondered life beyond the grave and the great mysteries of life. And so, as the Talmud teaches, one day this rabbi is walking through the town square, and there are fruits and vegetables and all sorts of people in the town square. And then the rabbi comes into direct spiritual communication with Eliyahu Hanavi, with Elijah the prophet, the one we invite to the Seder, the one who's invited to every bris, the one who is to be the forerunner of the Messianic time. And the rabbi asks Eliyahu Hanavi, will any of these people in this marketplace share the bliss of the world to come after they have died and I have died? And Eliyahu Hanavi points to the other side of the market square. There are a couple of people. It says, entertaining people with their playfulness. And the rabbi says, what? These simple performers? They're going to be my companions in the world to come. What merits do they possess? And Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, answered, they have joyful, fun-loving spirits that brighten up the hearts of others. And so Yuri, in so many times in his life, was a difficult life, and there were times he was depressed and sad. But even when he was depressed and sad, and we came to services, he could always find something to try to make a joke about. He would try to lighten up your spirits. And so, according to this teaching, so his soul merits the world to come because of his effort to brighten up the hearts of others. It's a very important teaching. And in so many ways, that was Yuri. He was born in Afula, Israel, February 5th, 1951. His parents of blessed memory, Yaakov and Olga. His sister Nella passed away in 2001. She was only 55 years old. During the Second World War, if I was able to keep the details of this family history correct, if not, you'll correct me. During the Second World War, Yuri's father, also named Yaakov, for whom you are named, Yuri's father, Yaakov, and Yaakov's brothers, they left Poland and they went to Tashkent, Uzbekistan, which was not uncommon for many people living in Russia, former Soviet Union. And there Yaakov met his wife, Olga. They got married. After the war, in about 1946, Yaakov and Olga made Aliyah. They went to Israel. And in 1960, when Yuri was 9 years old, Yaakov, Olga, Nella, and Yuri moved back to Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Apparently, they thought it would be better in Uzbekistan than it was in Israel. Yuri always would mention this. I mean, he must have mentioned this 50 times over the course of our conversations. How sad he was that he left Israel and moved back to Uzbekistan. In Tashkent, Yuri went to school, and in those days, you worked at a job during the day and you went to high school at night. So Yuri worked in a mechanical factory while in school. He graduated in 1968. Yuri and Irina met in school in 1965. They married September 26, 1969. Irina was 19, Yuri was 18 and a half, and Irina joked. She said, "I was a tiger." And then she realized, wait, no, I was a cougar. That's what it is. An older woman finds a younger man. I know it's only a half a year, but, she was a cougar, she said. The wedding ceremony was in Tashkent. Yuri and Irina have shared a loving and devoted marriage of 49 years. Now, loving and devoted doesn't mean that it's always been easy, because it's not always been easy. And anybody who's married knows it's not always easy. But if you take care of one another and you support one another, then you're able to make it through. And they have made it for 49 plus years. It would have been 50 years next September. They've been blessed with family, 2 sons and 2 grandchildren. Son Lev, Lev's wife Nancy, son Yaakov, and the grandchildren, the love of his life, Evelyn and Stephen. The boys are okay, but the grandchildren, that much better. Always. So Yuri, Irina, Lev, and Yaakov emigrated from Tashkent to USA in 1979. And they came to Cleveland because Yuri's father, Yaakov, had 4 brothers here. You go, why Cleveland? Well, the mishpacha, the family was here. He had 3 sisters living in Israel. So the Jewish Family Service Association, the JFSA, as the Jewish community does, people come in, we try to find a place for them. And the JFSA put them up in an apartment above Carmen's Draperies, right down on Mayfield Road. You cross over where that Motor Cars Cleveland is, used to be Cleveland Heights City Hall. Before you get to Coventry, before you get to Coventry, on the right side, there's a place called Carmen's Draperies. It's still there, right?
Yeah.
Right. They had an apartment above Carmen's Draperies. They lived above it. I don't know how quiet a drapery store is to live above. Too quiet? Okay. There are some places you live above them would be very noisy. Above the office? I always want to live above a bakery. I always want to live above a bakery so you can go down and get some cookies, right? Cookies? Maybe one day. So JFSA put them in the apartment above Carmen's Draperies and then another apartment on Mayfield Road near Coventry. So Yuri went to school here in America, became a tool and die maker. And over the years, he worked at various machine shops. One of the endearing things about Yuri and maddening things about Yuri is that, like for most of us, if it comes in your head, it doesn't actually have to come out your mouth. But for him, it comes into his head and comes right out. And so, you work someplace and you think something and you say something and they go, you know what, you really shouldn't say those things. And he would say things like that at temple all the time. But, he's not working for us. He's just praying with us, and we loved him. He was just absolutely fantastic. Lev, you said when we were little, he would take us to the park. He took us skating. He volunteered with us when we were in Boy Scouts. And later, after you got married, he helped fix up our old house and our new house, painting and fixing. And when he came to visit us, was this all in Louisville? All right, when he came to visit us in Louisville, he gave Mom a little vacation, because then he was with us and Mom got a little peace and quiet. Nancy, you said Yuri was famous for making, and this really sounds good, the lamb and beef shish kebabs. And Stephen remembers, I don't know if you remember because you were very young, but you probably do, running back and forth to get more of them, more and more. They were delicious. He loved his grandchildren. Nancy said after Evelyn was born, Yuri stayed with us about 4 or 5 weeks. Evelyn doesn't remember this, but Evelyn, you had colic when you were very young. And colicky babies do a lot of crying. And your grandpa Yuri would walk you, Nancy said, walked him for hours, would take him and just go walk him. Walk her, he would walk you. Lev, you said he referred to the kids as little Anunnakis. Is that it, Anunnakis? All right, so the Anunnakis are a group of deities that appear in the mythological traditions of ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. And then here's the part that's beautiful for Yuri. You ready? Descriptions of how many Anunnaki there were and what role they fulfilled are inconsistent and contradictory. So if you want to talk with Yuri about it, he goes, well, it could be this or it could be that. And of course, that means that the conversation never ends. So from 1 week to the next week to the next week. You just pick up the discussion next time you see each other. Stephen, you said Grandpa took us to the pond to feed the ducks with bread and corn. Fantastic. We went to Israel in 2014 as a congregation, and Yuri came with us. On our trip, we had one person designated, informally, to be with Yuri, to make sure that he wouldn't walk off and wander off. He became known for doing that, so we made sure that because you can't leave without somebody. And he told this story to the kids. So when we get to Israel, you have to show your passport. And he shows his passport, and he's talking to the person, says, you know, I was born in Israel. And the person, the passport control guy says, well, how come you don't have an Israeli passport? And Yuri goes, oh, because you kicked me out. You didn't want me here. Passport control takes him to another room. And they start to talk with him. And it was at that point that we realized someone must always be with Yuri. And the rest of the trip, everything was wonderful. But someone must always be with Yuri. It took us a long time to find where he was. We were waiting and waiting and waiting. But it's what we loved about him. As you know, he has had many medical challenges. Too many there's no reason to go through the litany of medical challenges. And however, though, Thursday he breathed his last in the hospital. And now there's no more deterioration, and there's no pain, there's just rest and wholeness and peace. And we believe his soul is returning to God to be with the soul of his dear family and relatives and the ancestors of our people. We learn this from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. So we will place the body in the ground and place earth on the casket, and the spirit is returning to God. God will take care of the spirit of our dear Yuri. We are sending along an old prayer book and tefillin with him in the casket. It is a privilege not only to escort the body of your loved one to its final resting place, but also holy books and ritual objects of our tradition. Your memories are rich. There are many, many memories of Yuri. And we give thanks to God for this gift of life. We would have hoped for many more years. However, if they could be in good health. If it was just going to be deterioration and continued deterioration, we don't want him to suffer, and we don't want to have to witness that as well. So, as you think of Yuri, you should be kinder and more thoughtful. You should learn some of the crazy things that he was interested in and try to have discussions about that. You should make shish kebab There's a picture of a cat there. It's an old cat. Did he like any other animals? No, just that cat. And he liked ducks. He would feed the ducks. He fed deer too. Deer are big. They eat everything in our yard. So take care of the animals and take care of one another. Also, become a frequent attender at religious services wherever you don't go now. Go and become a frequent attender, because a regular person that comes to services, you enrich the congregation. You enrich the congregation by your presence. And when you become a regular, people come into services, they go, "Hey, how are you?" You're a person to greet other people. It's so very important. And it takes time, and it takes showing up. And I don't remember who said this, but isn't showing up like 3/4 of whatever, just showing up. Just show up and be there. And do this in Yuri's loving memory. You are needed. And so we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Muvarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Yimru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Yuri Weinstein. And let us say, Amen. Please rise for the El Malei Rachamim prayer. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Yuri Weinstein, our dear one. You keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us, O God, that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utorim, Kezohar Harakia Mazirim, Et Nishmat Amnon ben Yaakov, Shahalach Le'olamo, Baal Harachamim, Yasdirehu B'Seter Kanafav Le'olamim, Vayitzro B'Tzro HaChaim, Et Nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar, Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Amnon ben Yaakov, to Yuri Weinstein. He has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated for a moment. In a few minutes, we will go in procession to Mount Sinai Cemetery, and then we will lay his body to rest. The family is going to be gathering at the residence at 4983 South Sedgwick, and that's in Lyndhurst. It'll probably take us from now, about an hour and a half by the time we arrive at the house. And we'll recite Kaddish at the grave. We'll recite the Kaddish prayer for the next 4 weeks at Temple Israel Ner Tamid. Our congregational services is at 7:30. If you are late, don't freak out. Just show up late. We say Kaddish probably about 8:30. And the family has asked, which is very kind of them, if you care to make contributions in Yuri's loving memory, among the charities that they consider, first consider Temple Israel Ner Tamid, and then in addition, consider other charities of your choice. It's very much a privilege to be here. So now we will go in procession, and we'll get information to take the body to the grave.